everyone, I'm here back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about what I keep in my camera bag. But in my particular case, it's actually not a camera bag, it's actually a case. So yeah, let's get into it. I don't really like to use a bag just because, one, they're soft, two, they usually don't provide any actual practical storage solutions. I think they are good for when you're traveling, if you just have like a camera and a lens and maybe a few SD cards, stuff like that. But when you start investing into bigger, more heavy duty camera bags, I think it is just more worth it to get a case. So that is why I'm using this particular case. And just to show you which one I'm using, it's not a Pelican, it's actually an Apache case. So I have gotten multiple of these at this point. They're from Harbor Freight. If you have those in your area, they do provide pretty budget friendly hard cases that actually work for most production needs. I will say I've seen some tests where they don't hold up as well to water and the elements as well as like a Pelican will, but you're not going to be able to get anything in here wet unless you fully submerge this thing. So great option if you need some kind of hard case to store your gear or equipment. Apache cases from Harbor Freight. This one in particular is the Apache 580, and I've got more. I think I've got like the 1200 and then another handled one. This one's got wheels though, and it's comparable to the 1510, I want to say, is the Pelican model that you would be getting instead of this. But it rolls if it's in a carry-on overhead storage on planes. So great option if you're looking for a hard case that actually is going to protect your equipment on a budget. So let's get into what I actually have in here. So obviously the most important part is going to be my camera. This is a Panasonic Lumix S5 IIX, which is just a little bit more video-centric version of the S5 Mark II, and cannot complain about this camera. I do have one complaint, but really everything else surrounding it is awesome. The lenses that I have for it are great, and yeah, the only complaint that I really do have is going to be it crops when you go into 60 frames a second or any kind of slow-mo footage. So actually, this is not really how you would see me using this camera. I would usually have it in some sort of a cage like this, and this just gives me multiple different mounting points. I got like an airy rosette on the side and quarter 20s all over the whole thing, so I can do multiple things mounting wise, and then I can actually add a top handle because it's a NATO rail on the top there, and fly it around. Handheld stuff just makes things a little bit easier to rig out the camera. And then this particular cage is from Tilta, same with the top handle, and I have really been loving this cage. I've had other cages, not for this camera in particular, but small rig cages and stuff like that, and they work, but I think Tilta goes a step further with adding, they have a NATO rail on top, and then it's a Arca Swiss. It's an Arca Swiss on the bottom, so I can just slide it into any travel tripod that I have or anything that runs Arca Swiss style mounting. So yeah, from there, I think we'll go into lenses. So this is probably going to be my most used lens, and I am somebody who will tell most people, do not buy a kit lens with your camera. The deals where it's like, oh, if you pay another extra $150, you can get a lens that comes with the camera, and then you don't have to buy one yourself or separate. Usually a terrible idea. This is really the only instance that I have kept a kit lens that I consistently use and actually gives me good images. And I think that's mostly because it is a 20 to 60 millimeter versus most of the time I feel like you're gonna get a 24 to 50 or 24, maybe a 24 to 70. But the reason why you wanna stay away from kit lenses is because when I'm in 20 millimeters right now, it's gonna be a f3.5 is gonna be the lowest aperture you can go down to, versus when you zoom to 60 millimeters, the lowest you can go down to is f5.6. And that's just not ideal. You know, if I'm zooming and I'm in that lowest aperture on 20 mil and I zoom to 60, the footage is gonna get significantly darker. That's a few stops of light that you are losing when you zoom. So, like I said, kit lenses are not recommended in most situations, but I think this one is pretty decent. It gives you a really solid wide angle lens for not very much. And yeah, like I said, you probably want to stay away from them, but if you end up getting this, I don't know, let me know. Let me know what you think if you have it as well. So let's get into the other lenses. So this is going to be my S series S mount 50 millimeter. And I really love this lens. It really solid image out of it, really sharp. It's f1.7, and you know, f1.7 on full frame gives you crazy shallow depth of field. And yeah, just really solid lens. Again, I picked it up in a deal with the whole camera kit that I got. I got a couple of lenses basically for free because I bought the camera from B&H. So if you're looking to pick up an S5, they've been running crazy deals on them. And yeah, very solid camera with some pretty solid lenses for cheap. And then the last native lens that I have for the system is going to be the 85 millimeter, same thing, f1.7. And this one really is just like, I love this lens when I get the chance to shoot on it, because it is just like, yeah, just great images, crazy shallow depth of field. Again, the autofocus performance on the S5 is pretty good. I did have to do the firmware update to get it a little bit better. And yeah, I think once you do the firmware update on the S5 too, it really competes with the Sonys and the Canons out there. I know somebody's gonna be like, Sony is just so much better with autofocus, but I think Lumix is catching up, and the codecs that they let you record on the S5 internally, so great. And yeah, very solid little package here. The 20 to 60, the 50 millimeter, and then the 85. I think that's a pretty good focal range that will apply to most situations. I do think you should have a selection of a zoom and then 2 primes. I think that's kind of the magic number for just run and gun videographer style content. And getting into our last lens, which is actually kind of a 2-part, it is actually, whew, dang, don't hate me. I put it in there without its lens cover on there. So yeah, I do need an adapter for this. It's a Minolta 55 millimeter. I've made a video about it, go check it out. It's a really fun lens to use. It's a vintage lens, fully manual, and I've actually, you know, done some modifications to it by like declicking the aperture. I don't know if it doesn't click if it goes through. So love this lens. It's really my creative lens if I'm trying to pick up some really just stylized close-ups, detail shots. I will pull this thing out because it's not very useful in run and gun videography style situations where you really need the autofocus. But that is going to be that, and I'm actually going to put that off to the side because there's definitely not a lens a lens cap in there. But moving on here, I'm going to get into my lens accessories. So I've got 3 different filters that I use on a regular basis. One of them not so much, but we'll get into that. So this is going to be a variable ND filter. It's by Gobe, and it's just a budget option. And I know I've touched on budget gear before, and you probably don't want to be buying a whole lot of budget stuff, but this one has worked out for me for over the years. I do need to get a replacement for it because it's starting to just not be as smooth, because I think I've gotten a lot of dust in it at this point. Been in a lot of harsh shooting conditions with this thing. So I usually throw that on if I'm outside at all. I will have this on my camera. And then we will get into my second most used filter, which is going to be a circular polarizer. And again, something that's just needed for certain situations. Circular polarizers will cut reflections out of images. So anytime I'm shooting into a car window or when I'm doing my real estate shoots, I will throw this on because like shower doors will catch me in the reflection, or pictures that are in the room will catch me in the reflection. And it's really annoying if I get a perfectly butter smooth shot and I realize that I'm in, you know, some random picture frame out there. So I usually throw this on there. It helps. It doesn't fully cut reflections, but it really does help, at least making them like unrecognizable. And then the last one that I will use occasionally, I don't really do it as much anymore because you can kind of achieve this look in post, but it's going to be a black Pro Mist filter. And this is a 1/4, and I may have wanted to go with an 1/8, but an 1/8, so they measure it in the strength in like 1/8, 1/4, 1/2, and obviously as you go higher in the number, it's going to get more bloom. So this just blooms your highlights a little bit. It makes it a little bit softer, gives you, yeah, that a more filmic look, which I think this was a little bit of gear acquisition syndrome. I didn't really need it. Like I said, I found out ways to do it in post, but sometimes I just want it in camera and want the actual practical effect. So yeah, those are going to be my filters. All of the native lenses are going to use a, what is it, 67mm filter thread size. So I have this little stack of ring filters that I use for that. So I'll use these two basically stacked up for any of my native glass, and then for any of my vintage lenses, they usually all connect with the 52mm. I actually have the 49 on there, so it doesn't fit particularly well right now on this Minolta. Obviously it's not screwing in, but yeah, this will work in a pinch, and it's basically just a stack of filters. So instead of having to get a specific step up ring for all of my different lenses, I have this stack and it works out. I've never once gotten like vignette or anything from this, so solid option. Again, if you need a filter and you just want to buy one for every single lens that you have, get one of these filter stacks. They work pretty well. It will like extend the length of the lens, but very solid. So last thing in this little compartment at the very, very back is going to be a HDMI cable. And funny enough, the only time I will actually use this is for a monitor. And I don't actually have my monitor in the case at the moment. I'll show you what I have in there instead. My monitor is off to the side right now. I'm using it to look at myself while I shoot. But I will usually keep a monitor and just 2 NPF batteries in this next compartment. But right now I've actually got a mic kit by Rode. So it's actually 2 separate little carrying cases. Really, really solid. It is the Rode Wireless Pro. So they're going to be a Pro lavalier kit that is going to give you really, really solid audio for not very expensive. And they're also wireless, like I said. You can actually see it on my hip right now. And yeah, just great option. You can record straight onto the mic pack. I've only got one in there right now because I've got the receiver on my Blackmagic, and then I've got the other one down here. But yeah, you can record straight onto the mic pack. You can see a little red light recording, and they actually like pretty good audio, I will say. And I want to say they're around $400 for the whole set. It comes with 2 lavalier mics as well, and a bunch of other accessories like magnetic clips, so you can clip the mic packs to specific like pieces of clothing. And yeah, like I said, I've used it both in this configuration, just throwing this on my shirt and recording straight into this, but it also comes with a receiver that is really solid, and you can plug that into your camera and record straight into your camera. So these are awesome. They're also 32-bit float audio, so it's really hard to clip it, and you do have to bring it into a separate software to do that, and you have to be recording onto the mic pack itself. You cannot be recording audio into the camera and have it be 32-bit float. But like I said, very solid option if you're looking for some wireless lavaliers. And then we will move into, like I said, I have a handle for my whole camera cage and everything, but then I've just got a multi-tool by Small Rig. get yourself one of these. It is, I mean, the amount of times that I just don't have like a penny or like a quarter or my keys right next to me that have like a camera tool on them, I usually keep this in my back pocket when I'm running around on set. And yeah, it's just got pretty much every single Allen key that you might need. It's got a flat head, it has got a Phillips head, and then just a straight up flat bar. And then we've actually got some, you know, quarter 20s on the side. So if you have any spare bolts that you need to just keep around, you can just screw them into there, and that will keep them secure and not floating around your cage. Yeah, let's move into the other side of the case. Next thing I've got in here, batteries and chargers. And I've got multiple different chargers. So this is for the MPF batteries. This is for my Lumix S5 batteries. And I keep mainly all of that in this one little compartment because I don't want to have to be like, oh yeah, which one did I put it in? And like be fishing around for batteries in all of these different spaces in here. So I keep all of that in this specific compartment. And again, I've just got cords in here. Cords I kind of interchange between both of these because some of them are specific to I'm charging, and some of them are, you know, camera cords and stuff like that that I use for like data transfer or connecting my camera to my gimbal. But the last thing I keep in this battery compartment is just 3. I feel like 3 is a magic number. Don't quote me on that. I quoted Schoolhouse Rock, obviously. But yeah, just 3 little wall charger bricks. I got these ones. These are 20 watt, and they have a USB-C and a USB-A so that you can choose to charge through either. So yeah, solid option. I can't remember what company. Just got them off of Amazon. Just find yourself some cheap ones. You can find like 3 of these for, I think, around $15 to $20. So buy those, throw them in your case. You can never have enough of these. The amount of times I run out of charger bricks for charging stuff or powering things like my lights or my camera, yeah, these are too valuable to have. So moving into the next compartment, this is gonna be like mostly my cords. So this is just a little baggie of just short cords for small items that I want to keep nice and tidy. I don't want a huge cord falling off, and I just keep those in one specific spot. And this part of my case is kind of a mess, I can't lie. So I've just got a bunch of different cords, and some of them are micro USBs, some of them are USB-A to micro USB, some of them are USB-C to USB-A, USB-C to USB-C. Just, I stress out about that I'm gonna run out of cords on set and to charge things or to power things. So I always just keep cords in surplus. They're not very big. You can usually, you know, wind them up like this. Don't do what I'm doing here though. This is a bird's nest and I need to go through and really sort all this out. And then the last thing that I keep in this little random section is just air tools. So one's a little brush just in case I need to brush stuff off of the front of the lens. And I really try not to do that unless it's something really pesky. I usually just try to, you know, blow it off. So here, a little example. So that's great for cleaning your sensor, cleaning lenses, really anything that you need to clean that you don't want to touch and scratch. So a lot of stuff like that in film, a lot of glass, a lot of sensors. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna be my whole kit. This is one thing that I did forget to show you guys, and it is a card case. And I, you know, just have one side not good to format, and then one side that's good to format. So these are ready to go, these are not ready to go. So if I use a card from here, I'll swap it over to here until I clear the data and double back it up, and then I'll put it back over here. And then the last thing, I keep a couple of, nope, they're actually not in here right now. This is just a monitor hood. It's, you know, a shade, a sunshade, so that I can see my monitor during the very bright hours of the day. It clips onto the monitor. But I will usually keep, you know, they're actually over here. So yeah, this is going to be the last set of things that I keep around. It's some lens tissue paper, which funny enough, I've never used them for lenses. These actually I use for when talent is maybe a little bit nervous about what their skin looks like. So you can use these and blot some of it's like kind of a beauty thing. Like they're not very necessary. I think I actually saw Danny Gevirtz doing that the first time, and I was like, that's such a good idea, because I remember using those in high school. I would like bug this one girl and be like, can I get some of your oil papers? My nose is so oily. And you know how it goes on set. Sometimes you have talent that is very nervous and self-conscious about how they look, and you know, keeping things around to help mitigate that is, I think, just, yeah, it's a really, really good thing to have around. People really do appreciate it, and it shows that you've been thinking ahead of time about not just the image, but also like how the talent is feeling and their comfortability with the whole situation. So pro level move right here, I'm telling you, it's a underrated one. And then the rest of the stuff in this bag is just gonna be a few Q-tips, and then actually some more lens papers, and then a just microfiber cloth for just wiping down lenses if I really need to hit a lens with a microfiber. Sorry, this paper is like super crinkly. Hopefully that didn't totally jack up that audio, but that is gonna be it. Hopefully this video wasn't crazy redundant or just simple. I figured people would want to see what I carry around with me on a daily basis when I go and shoot. And obviously there's going to be certain things that you're going to shoot that you need other equipment for, like lights and stuff like that. But if somebody's asking me to come and shoot, this is going to be what I start with. This is the bare bones rig. If you hire me as your shooter, this is what will come with me. So yeah, other just like daily carries that I carry around with me camera wise is just this little Olympus, I can't even remember what it is called, Olympus XZ1. It is a little CCD point and shoot camera, and yeah, love this camera. The colors are amazing. I can throw it into auto mode and just, you know, have basically a pocket camera. I don't really keep it in my pocket. I have this little, not really a fanny, it's not really like a shoulder bag or anything like that. I would honestly like, yeah, I don't really know what to call it. It's like a merce. It's a man purse for sure. But yeah, love that camera, and I usually bring that with me on every shoot too. It doesn't live in the case because I bring it with me outside of shooting video for client work. But yeah, love that, and that's all I got for you. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, or you want me to go in depth on anything, like how do I rig out my camera for a specific shoot, like realty or a music video, or what other kind of gear I'm bringing with me if needed, like lights and stuff like that. And yeah, if you have any questions, just do not hesitate to drop them down below in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next one.